Hyperspace fractured like glass as the Terran vanguard burst into the Varelis 9 system. A ripple surged across the void, bending starlight around the fleet's emergence. Dreadnoughts materialized first, titanic silhouettes with armored hulls and burning blue engines, followed by cruisers, escorts, and a swarm of autonomous strike drones. The system, moments ago quiet, now vibrated with the arrival of something immense. Commander Arya Hale stepped closer to the bridge window as the last distortions faded. A pale glow from the distant star washed across her face. Below, Varelis 9 rotated in silence, shrouded by smoke drifting from the scars carved into its atmosphere. Entire regions smoldered like embers beneath dark clouds. "Status," Arya ordered. Lieutenant Mara Voss scanned the display. Gravitational readings stabilized. All ships accounted for. No losses during transit. "Tactical?" Arya asked. Ren Calder adjusted the hologram floating beside him. "KOLL patrol vessels ahead. Small formation. They haven't detected us yet, they expected something slower." Arya nodded. Relief ships would have emerged far behind them, late and unarmed. Instead, dreadnoughts formed a wall of metal and power around the Resolute. "Have they transmitted anything since the last taunt?" she asked. "No," Ren said. "Either confident or oblivious." Arya stepped toward the command table, eyes sharpening. "Then we'll educate them." The nearest KOLL patrol consisted of 9 ships, 2 frigates, 5 cutters, and a pair of interceptors. They drifted lazily in orbit, oblivious to the storm approaching. Their hulls gleamed red under Varelis light, each vessel lined with serrated plating reminiscent of claws. Arya issued her first command. "Target the patrol. Disable their engines." Ren hesitated. "No full destruction." "Not yet," Arya said. "I want one conscious enough to deliver a message." The bridge crew exchanged glances, unspoken approval mixed with sharp anticipation. "Carry out the order," Arya finished. Ren tapped a sequence. "Weapons online." Outside, the dreadnoughts shifted formation. Armored panels unfolded, revealing banks of rail cannons. Their barrels hummed as electromagnetic coils charged, generating faint halos of light. "Fire," Arya said. The cannons answered with blinding streaks. Metal rods accelerated to a fraction below light speed, tearing through the void without sound. The first KOLL frigate jolted violently as its engines evaporated in a flash of molten debris. Moments later, a cutter lost its entire stern. Interceptors spun helplessly, propulsion shredded. The entire patrol was disabled in under 14 seconds. On the bridge, tension melted into stunned quiet. "Enemy communications opening," Mara said. "Patch it through," Arya replied. A wounded KOLL officer appeared, scorched armor, fractured crest, eyes burning with disbelief. "You Terrans, what did you fire?" the creature rasped. "A warning," Arya answered. "You call this restraint?" "You're alive," she said simply. "That's more mercy than you showed Varelis 9. "You won't stop us," the KOLL hissed. "Our reinforcements will erase you." "Let them come," Arya replied. "Transmit this to your command, humanity has arrived. We aren't here to negotiate." The KOLL snarled something unintelligible before the channel cut. Ren exhaled. "That'll stir them." "That's the point," Arya said. "I want their attention." The dreadnought fleet advanced, engines igniting the darkness with electric blue glare. Drone clusters deployed in coordinated spheres, their tiny thrusters flickering like sparks. Each operated independently, yet moved with the precision of trained soldiers. "Commander," Mara called. Long-range scans detecting KRYLL warp signatures. "Multiple. They're bringing an entire battle group." Arya leaned over the holographic projection as red markers bloomed more every moment. The KOLL weren't testing the waters. They were committing. Ren swallowed. "That's a full armada." "We knew this might escalate," Arya said. "Stay focused." The lights dimmed as the Resolute initiated battle posture. Shield matrices activated, forming crystalline waves around the hull. Across the fleet, cannons locked into firing alignment. Arya touched her wrist console, opening a fleet-wide channel. Terran Vanguard, she said. You've seen the devastation below. We carry the burden of preventing it from spreading. This is not retaliation. It's intervention. The KOLL must be stopped here. Her voice remained steady, but the weight behind it pressed through every syllable. We show them what Deathworlders do when innocents are threatened. A unified response echoed from thousands of stations. When the KRYLL battle group tore into real space moments later, the stars flared white. Dozens of warships appeared simultaneously, spike-covered carriers, heavy destroyers, jagged cruisers all warped in at combat velocity. Their commander broadcast immediately. The hologram materialized before Arya, tall, plated in dark armor, crest crowned with gold. Overlord Exorvac himself. Terran, he said, voice cold, your arrival is amusing. You bring a handful of ships. We bring a legion. You brought destruction to a peaceful world, Arya replied. You won't touch another. He tilted his head, almost curious. Your people carry a reputation for stubborn survival. But reputation won't save you from extinction. Arya stepped closer, unshaken. You wanted us here. Now deal with us. Exorvac's mandibles tightened. Consider this a demonstration. The transmission vanished. KRYLL engines ignited. Brace. Ren shouted. The KRYLL fleet surged forward, weapons blazing. Plasma beams lanced across the void. Torpedoes streaked like burning coals. The Vanguard's shields caught the first wave, shimmering under the impact. Return fire, Arya commanded. The Terran dreadnoughts answered with devastating precision. Rail cannons unleashed volleys that sliced through approaching cruisers. Drone swarms darted between plasma trails, cutting into enemy hulls with surgical strikes. Shockwaves rippled as KRYLL ships ruptured. Yet the KOLL pressed harder, willing to crash vessels just to break formation. They're trying to swarm us, Mara warned. Hold the line, Arya said calmly. Redirect the Resolute's secondary batteries. Focus fire on their carriers. Ren executed the command. The Resolute unleashed a barrage that tore through a KRYLL carrier's shields. Its structure buckled, splitting down the middle in a brilliant explosion. Another group incoming, Mara said. Their numbers keep rising. Arya steadied her breath. The Vanguard could outmatch the KOLL, but only if discipline held. Signal the fleet, she said. Adaptive formation. Protect the transports below at all costs. As officers relayed instructions, Arya watched the battle unfold, violent, radiant, vast. Humanity had entered the system not as executioners but as guardians, and yet the path forward demanded relentless strength. Her console chimed again. More warp signatures, larger this time. Ren stiffened. Commander, the KRYLL flagship is approaching. Exorvac is bringing his entire command ship. Arya's grip tightened around the console. So be it, she said quietly. We finish this. The stars shuddered as something enormous began forcing its way into the system. The next stage of the conflict had begun. The first scream cut through the bridge speakers like a blade. Commander Arya Hale froze mid-step, her gaze locking on the trembling holographic feed projected above the command table. A burning skyline flickered across the display, towers collapsing under plasma fire, streets torn open by concussion blasts, a sky bruised by smoke. Varelis 9, a world known for quiet scholarship and soft-spoken diplomats, was being erased in real time. Commander, you need to hear this, Lieutenant Maravos whispered, voice tight. The feed crackled, then stabilized. A Varelian elder appeared, ashen skin streaked with soot, robes torn. His calm composure had vanished, replaced by raw terror. This is Varelis 9 to the Galactic Concord. We are under attack by KRYLL Dominion forces. They are taking civilians. Please, we require immediate assistance. We cannot. A blast devoured him mid-sentence. The signal snapped to black. Silence pressed against the bridge crew like a weight. No one moved. No one breathed. Arya stepped forward, fingers curling against the edge of the console. Her voice came out steady, despite the rush of heat beneath her ribs. Replay from the start, she said. The recording looped. Every explosion, every cry, etched itself deeper into her. The KOLL were not conquerors, they were harvesters. Entire cities vanished wherever they marched. And now they had come for a world that had never even built a warship. The feed ended again. Arya exhaled slowly. How long ago was this broadcast? 35 minutes, Mara answered. We've confirmed multiple KRYLL signatures around the system. The Concord believes they intend to move toward the frontier colonies next. Of course they would. This wasn't an isolated strike. It was a message. And the galaxy had heard it. The overhead lights dimmed as Admiral Rourke appeared on the bridge holoscreen, broad frame, iron-gray beard, stern eyes that rarely betrayed emotion. Tonight, they carried something close to sorrow. Commander Hale, he said, you've seen the transmission. Yes, sir. The Concorde wants humanitarian support deployed immediately. Arya didn't speak. She waited for the rest, the part her crew didn't yet grasp. Rourke leaned in. They expect medical ships. Evacuation carriers. Relief teams. His jaw tightened. But this wasn't an accident. Varelis 9 was targeted because it's weak. The KOLL intend to break the Concorde's unity before negotiations even begin. Arya understood. And humanity can't let that stand. No, Rourke's voice hardened. We gave our word when we joined the Concorde. Never again will a peaceful world face annihilation without a shield. We are that shield. And sometimes, he paused, a shield must become a weapon. Arya felt the shift in the room. Every officer straightened. They all knew what he was about to authorize. The Terran Vanguard is yours, Commander. A quiet ripple moved through the crew. The Vanguard. Humanity's most guarded military force, titanic dreadnoughts capable of opening stars like fruit. They had never been dispatched beyond human territory. Their existence was a warning etched into silence. Deploy them, Rourke continued. Not as invaders, but as judgment. Arya nodded once. Understood. We send aid, Rourke said, by stopping the ones responsible. The transmission ended. The bridge lights brightened. Arya turned to her crew. You heard the Admiral, she said. This is not a rescue mission. This is an intervention. We are not abandoning Varelis 9 to slaughter. Mara swallowed. Commander, the Concorde won't approve a full strike. They won't have to, Arya replied. By the time they finish arguing, this will already be over. She walked toward the panoramic window that arched above the bridge. Stars shimmered across the void, cold, watching, indifferent. The Resolute drifted silently among them, engines waiting for her command. Lieutenant, she said. Prepare the fleet for hyperspace entry. The order echoed through the decks. Dreadnought engines rumbled awake, bass vibrations thrumming against Arya's boots. She closed her eyes for a heartbeat. She had been raised on stories of humanity's past, the wars born from fear, the catastrophic triumphs that reshaped ecosystems. And she had sworn she would never repeat them. But today, mercy required force. A console beeped. Tactical Officer Ren Calder turned sharply. Commander, we have an incoming transmission, he said. It's KRYLL. Arya felt the temperature drop. On screen. A KOLL overseer filled the display, elongated skull, eyes like molten iron, serrated crest shimmering with cruel satisfaction. Terran vessel, the overseer hissed, your kind loves to play protectors. Send your healers. Send your fragile medics. We have left survivors for you to gather if they still breathe when you arrive. Arya didn't blink. You attacked an unarmed world. There is no honor in that. We do not recognize honor, the KOLL replied. Only dominance. Then you misunderstand the species you've provoked, Arya said softly. The overseer leaned closer. We know what you are. Deathworlders. But reputation means nothing. Your pity ships won't reach Varelis 9 in time. We will break your spirits there. The transmission ended with a screech of static. Arya's voice, when she spoke, carried steel. Ren, track all KRYLL movements. Mara, signal the fleet. Battle readiness, full armament. Navigation, set coordinates for Varelis 9. Mara hesitated. Commander, if we intervene with the Vanguard, the Concorde may accuse us of escalating the conflict. Arya met her eyes. If we don't, there won't be a Concorde left to accuse anyone. The deck vibrated again as the dreadnought engines reached full charge. Blue light flared across the hulls outside, bathing the bridge in cool radiance. Arya took her position at the command seat. Fleet, she said into the open channel, Varelis 9 requested aid. The KOLL believe we'll send doctors. A murmur spread through the channel, crew members waiting for her final word. We will bring justice instead. A chorus of affirmations thundered back. The countdown began. 5, 4, 3. Arya leaned forward, voice low enough only her bridge heard. Hold on, everyone. 2, 1. The stars stretched into luminous threads as space-time peeled open. The Terran Vanguard surged into the rift, vanishing in a storm of blue light. At the edge of the Varelis system, a lone KRYLL scout detected the incoming signal. It scanned the energy signature and chittered in amusement. Terran's approach, it reported. Relief ships. Nothing more. It never saw the fleet behind that signature, massive shadows tearing through hyperspace like the wrath of a long-buried god. And by the time it realized its mistake, the stars had already begun to tremble. The fabric of space rippled as the KRYLL flagship forced its way into the system. The ship dwarfed the rest of the armada, an obsidian titan covered in ridged armor, glowing vents, and jagged protrusions that resembled a colossal, serrated spine. Its arrival shook sensor arrays across the Vanguard. Commander Arya Hale stared at the monstrous silhouette. Exorvac has committed fully, she said. We break them here. Lieutenant Mara Voss monitored the swarm of red signatures flooding the tactical display. They're forming a spearhead around the flagship. A coordinated push. They want a decisive blow, Arya replied. Let's deny them one. The KRYLL fleet surged forward. Their formation tightened, creating a wall of armored hulls ready to crash straight into the Terran line. Ships lit with crackling energy as they powered heavy plasma emitters. Tactical Officer Ren Calder steadied his voice. They're priming everything. Outside the viewport, the first volley blazed across space, immense beams slicing toward the Resolute and its nearest dreadnoughts. Shields flared under the incoming fire, bending but holding. Return fire, Arya ordered. Terran dreadnoughts shifted into rapid attack posture. Rail cannons fired synchronized bursts. Kinetic slugs, bright with friction heat, crossed the void in straight, lethal lines. Multiple KRYLL destroyers erupted into ruptured shards before they could adjust. Drone swarms launched from Terran carriers like arrow storms, thousands of autonomous units darting between enemy fire, slicing through exposed components, detonating shield generators, and carving holes through hull plating. Their precision unnerved even seasoned KRYLL commanders. But the KRYLL pressed on with brutal determination. A wall of their cruisers accelerated toward the Terran center, intent on ramming. Brace the forward fleet, Arya said. Redirect cruisers Gamma and Iota to intercept. Ren relayed commands. The two Terran cruisers veered forward, engines roaring. Missile batteries ignited, painting streaks of orange across the black. Explosions rippled through the oncoming KRYLL spearhead, breaking its cohesion. Still, several enemy ships managed to close in, pushing toward civilian transports hidden in the planet's shadow. Commander, Mara said urgently, KRYLL interceptors have flanked us. They're heading toward the refugee shelters. Arya's heartbeat tightened. All drone wings intercept immediately. The drones obeyed with predatory speed. They swarmed the KRYLL interceptors, tearing them apart before they reached escape trajectory. Debris trails burned briefly in the void before fading. Even so, the KRYLL assault intensified. Their flagship powered a colossal weapon, a pulsing energy sphere forming at its bow, distorting light around it. Ren paled. Commander, that's not a conventional cannon. It's a planetary disruptor. They're aiming at Varelis 9. Arya's stomach dropped. They wouldn't. They would, Mara whispered. They want to finish the world completely. Arya pressed her palms against the console. Target that weapon. Every gun we have. Terran dreadnoughts rotated and unleashed hell. Rail slugs slammed into the flagship's forward plates. Singularity torpedoes streaked from launch bays, tearing microrifts in space that destabilized the disruptor's energy shell. The flagship shuddered, but the weapon continued charging, glowing brighter, expanding with each second. Exorvac's voice suddenly pierced the comms. Terrans. You cannot protect them. Your struggle is admirable, but irrelevant. Arya glared at the transmission. You kill worlds because you fear their potential. You fear unity. You project your weakness, Exorvac replied. The galaxy will submit once fear consumes them. Then you underestimate how fear shapes humans, Arya said. It doesn't break us. It focuses us. Exorvac gave a low, chilling laugh. Then focus on this. The disruptor surged to its final stage, a sun-like orb blazing at the flagship's prow. Alarms blared through the Resolute. Mara shouted, "Weapon discharge imminent." Arya steadied her voice. "All ships, defensive spread. Prioritize survival." The disruptor fired. A beam of white fire streaked toward the planet. It scorched through space, ripping apart anything in its path. A Terran cruiser shielding refugee transports was obliterated instantly, consumed in a brilliant, tragic flash. The beam hit Varelis 9's upper atmosphere. The planet flared with incandescent light as atmospheric layers evaporated. Arya's heart twisted. No. But the planet held. Its rotation trembled, but it did not shatter. Massive storms churned across the hemisphere, but life remained. They weakened the planet, Mara said softly, but didn't finish it. Arya inhaled sharply. They will if we let them recharge. Focus fire on that weapon. Now. Terran dreadnoughts unleashed a barrage that tore into the flagship's forward arrays. Plates peeled away. Energy conduits erupted in arcs of blue lightning. Exorvac's calm voice returned. I expected more. Arya responded with icy precision. Then watch closely. She gestured to Ren. Deploy Heaven's hammers. Ren's hands shook for a moment. Understood. Massive kinetic rods, dense tungsten pillars, launched from the Resolute's underside. They accelerated using gravitational slingshot coils, vanishing from sight as they reached lethal velocity. Seconds later, they struck. The flagship lurched as the first rod punched through its hull, carving a molten line through multiple decks. A second rod tore into its spinal structure, sending shockwaves that rattled the entire KRYLL formation. A ripple of fear swept through enemy ships. Several broke formation instinctively. Arya didn't let them recover. All forward vessels advance. Terran forces surged, pressing the advantage. Drone wings flared outward, overwhelming damaged ships. Cruiser batteries sliced through carriers. Plasma fire lit the darkness like falling stars. But the KRYLL were cornered predators. Desperation made them ferocious. A squadron of stealth cruisers emerged unexpectedly from the planet's dark side, ambushing the Terran rear. Their beams cut into a dreadnought's starboard engines, forcing it into a slow, spiraling descent toward the upper atmosphere. Mara shouted, stealth ships breaking formation. They're trying to flank. I see them, Arya said. Redirect Omega Squadron. Protect that dreadnought. Omega Squadron launched instantly, sleek fighters weaving through debris and intercepting the stealth cruisers with blistering precision. Explosions winked across the sky like dying stars. Ren turned toward Arya. Flagship's weapon is disabled, but Exorvac is diverting power to secondary cannons. He's trying to break our push, Arya said. We end this before he recovers. She opened a direct channel. Exorvac. You initiated this war. Now face the consequences. His reply came low and tense. You cannot fathom the strength of the Dominion. I don't need to, Arya said. I only need to stop you. Terran dreadnoughts closed in on the flagship, weapons scorching through its outer hull. Its armor split, exposing internal structures glowing with failing power. The battle raged around them, fire, metal, and shattered vessels drifting like wreckage from a collapsed civilization. The final blow approached. Arya took a breath. Prepare the finishing strike. On my mark. As the flagship staggered under the onslaught, HFY issued one last command, a desperate order. "Unleash everything," he roared. "Let the system burn." Arya watched his silhouette vanish behind static. And she knew what needed to happen next. The KRYLL flagship reeled under the final barrage, its armor cracking like fractured stone. Flames leaked from ruptured plating, drifting into space as glowing embers. Despite the damage, the vessel's secondary cannons powered up across its spine, a last, desperate attempt to turn the battle. Commander Arya Hale watched the readings spike. "He's going to fire on everything. He doesn't care what he hits." Lieutenant Mara Voss steadied her voice. "If he discharges that amount of energy, it'll tear through our formation." Arya nodded. The fleet was stretched across the system, protecting refugee transports, intercepting stragglers, escorting damaged cruisers. A single uncontrolled blast could devastate them. She turned to Tactical Officer Ren Calder. "Target their power relays. We disable that grid before it destabilizes." Ren's fingers raced across the console. "Torpedoes ready." Arya breathed once, clear and calm. "Fire." A wave of torpedoes launched, streaking toward the flagship. They detonated across its midsection, blasting open compartments and sending metal fragments spiraling through the void. Internal lights flickered, dimmed, then surged back as HFY rerouted emergency power. He appeared on the viewscreen a moment later, armor scorched, crest cracked, eyes burning with fury. "Terran," he hissed, "you cannot comprehend the cost of defying us." Arya met his gaze without flinching. "You slaughtered a world that never lifted a weapon against you." "They were weak," HFY replied. "Their existence was inefficient." "Strength isn't measured in brutality," Arya said. He snarled. "You cling to illusions. Mercy is a flaw your species will regret." "And this," Arya replied, "is why you fail." HFY slammed a command panel. Sparks erupted around him. "If KRYLL cannot rule this system, no one will." The viewscreen dissolved into static. Alarms blared. Ren shouted over the noise, "Commander, the flagship is overloading its core." Mara's eyes went wide. "A core rupture that size will vaporize half the system." Arya didn't hesitate. "All ships, fall back to distance vector θ7. Shield capacitors to maximum. Drone wings remain and continue pressure on the flagship." A chorus of acknowledgements filled the comm channel. Terran vessels shifted instantly, engines roaring as they angled away from the blast radius. Drone swarms, too small to be primary targets, continued tearing into the flagship's exposed interior. Ren studied the readings, voice tense. "Core breach in 90 seconds. Arya's mind sharpened. The KRYLL intended to die taking as many with them as possible. It was the logic of tyrants, control through annihilation. But her fleet wasn't out of options. "Bring the Resolute in closer," she said. Mara turned, stunned. "Closer? Commander, that's suicide." "We disable the rupture," Arya said. "If we don't, everything ends." Ren spoke carefully. "There's only one way to collapse that overload, remove the stabilizer conduit entirely. No remote strike will be precise enough." Arya nodded. "Then we'll use the hammer." The hammer, a specialized kinetic drill torpedo, was designed to burrow into hardened targets and tear apart structural cores from within. It had never been fired at a flagship-class vessel. Mara whispered, "If it detonates inside the conduit. It prevents the rupture," Arya said. "We end the threat." Mara didn't argue further. She simply nodded. Arming the hammer. The torpedo emerged beneath the Resolute, its metallic shell glinting under the star's pale light. Thrusters aligned. Guidance systems locked. Arya opened a direct channel to her crew, a quiet, steady voice across every Terran ship. "This is our responsibility. We came because innocent lives were stolen. We stand because others cannot. We finish this now." The hammer fired. It sliced through the void like a meteor, leaving a faint trail of distortion behind. KRYLL defense turrets attempted to intercept, but drone swarms threw themselves into the beams, absorbing hits, breaking the firing sequence. The hammer struck. The flagship shuddered violently. Hull plates crumpled around the impact zone. The torpedo drilled inward, ripping through layer after layer until it reached the stabilizer conduit. A deep tremor rippled through the ship, then a blinding internal flash erupted. Wren read the sensors. Direct hit. The stabilizer conduit is collapsing. Core overload neutralizing. The flagship detonated. But it wasn't a catastrophic system-killing blast. It was a controlled implosion, energy folding inward as the flagship crumpled like a collapsing star. Light swallowed the jagged hull. Then it vanished, leaving only drifting fragments. Silence fell across the bridge. Mara exhaled in a shaky whisper. Radiation levels dropping. Threat neutralized. Arya allowed herself one long breath. The weight on her chest eased, but not entirely. Around them, the KRYLL fleet faltered, leaderless, panicked, and fractured. Many vessels broke formation and scattered. Others attempted to fight on, but the Terran dreadnoughts made short work of them. Within minutes, the system was secure. Wren scanned the battlefield. Remaining KRYLL forces are retreating. Should we pursue? Arya shook her head. No. Let them carry the story. Mara lowered her headset. Rescue transports reporting successful extraction. Survivors from Varelis 9 are off-world. A quiet warmth flickered through Arya. They had saved who could be saved. The planet was wounded, but not extinguished. Open a channel to the Concorde, she said. Admiral Rourke appeared, expression shifting from tension to visible relief. Commander Hale, your actions prevented a disaster of impossible scale. The survivors owe their lives to your fleet. We answered their call, Arya said. Nothing more. The Council is already debating the implications, Rourke said. Some fear the display of power. Others see the necessity. Arya didn't look away. Power means nothing if used without conscience. And you used it with both conscience and precision. Rourke nodded slowly. The galaxy will remember that. The transmission closed. The bridge dimmed to normal lighting as the last of the battle debris drifted. The fleet settled into restoration routines. Engineers patched hull breaches, medics treated wounded crew, and drones retrieved escape pods and civilian transports. Arya walked toward the viewing window. Varelis 9 spun below, scarred, smoking, but alive. Storm systems spiraled across the continents, shaped by the disruptor's earlier strike. Yet the sky shimmered with hints of blue beneath the destruction. Mara stepped beside her. You did what no one else could. Arya kept her gaze on the wounded world. We came to help. Sometimes help means standing in the way of monsters. Mara nodded. And sometimes it means destroying them. Arya didn't respond immediately. She watched as Terran transports descended toward the surface, carrying relief teams to those still trapped. Despite everything, life continued. She finally spoke, voice quiet but firm. They asked for aid. Mara looked at her. And we gave it. Arya's eyes never left the planet. As Deathworlders. The fleet drifted in silent formation, guardians, witnesses, and warnings all at once as the chapter of Varelis 9 closed and the legend of the Terran vanguard ignited across the stars.